Miller, thanks for being here.
Good to see you, Ari.
What do you take from the DA tapping these two experts?
You know, I think you're right that it's a sign that he has a very strong case. And the way I read it is he's trying to make sure that his strong case is actually a bulletproof case. I think anytime you would you're faced with something like a decision about indicting a former president, as the district attorney Cy Vance is facing, obviously you want to make sure you have the strongest case possible. It's not it's no normal case by any stretch of the imagination. But if you think of what it means to indict this former president, you know that Donald Trump is going to launch an unprecedented legal and political and personal assault, not just on you, but on the prosecutors in your office who are charged with bringing that case to trial. After January 6th, you have to worry about the personal safety of the people in your office. It's unbelievable that we have to say it, but if you're the head of the office, you have to think of that. So this isn't a regular case where you might take a case that you believe in, but you're not 95% sure that you're going to win. It's a marginal case. You believe the defendant's guilty. There may be some problems with the evidence, but you're going to go to trial and see what happens. This is one that if you're going to put your office through the real hell that it will be to bring this case against Donald Trump, you want to make sure it's bulletproof. And I think that by bringing these two prosecutors on board, these two veteran prosecutors, they're not just trying to build, to make sure it's as strong as an investigation as possible, but to tell Cy Vance before he makes the decision to seek an indictment, this is a case that you can win.
Fascinating. One of the reasons I wanted to get your views on all this is you worked at the upper echelons of the DOJ, but with a knowledge of the building. And so you know, as I do, that some of the most feared prosecutors are not national household names, but potential defendants know their names. The mafia keeps track of them. The banks keep track of them. And so that's what we're seeing in who the DA has tapped here. And I'm trying to share with viewers a little bit behind the curtain. Here's a little bit of Mark Pomerantz discussing how he even wanted to get into prosecution. Take a look.
As a law clerk back in New York for a district judge, seeing the cases that come before the court, it was obvious that the people who were having the most fun were the assistant U.S. attorneys. The satisfaction comes not from getting long jail sentences, at least it shouldn't come from getting long jail sentences, but seeing that the right result was reached.
Matt, not everyone looks at it as a ton of fun, but he's actually being pretty candid there. When he says right result, this is something we've heard from people like Andrew Weissman, who viewers know. These are people who actually have some zeal about busting wrongdoing. And so when you look at the Trump organization, which, again, innocent until proven guilty, but it faces a ton of allegations of improprieties, the DA would seem to have people here in these two lead prosecutors who really care and are willing to put their neck out there in ways, as you just said, that might be think twice about your life and family, but because they're so zealous about what they might think the evidence requires for the right result.
Yeah, look, I think there are two things at play here. One is yes, I think that's obviously right, that they would feel, to involve yourself in this case, it's because you believe, Donald Trump has committed a crime and you want to see the right result done for the American people. And prosecutors will, look, let's be honest, they're going to make a decision about whether to indict on this case based on the facts of this case. But let's not pretend that prosecutors aren't aware of everything else that a defendant has done when they bring these cases. They may bring they may bring Donald Trump on charges of tax fraud or bank fraud or insurance fraud, but they're aware of the fact that Donald Trump was, basically found by a federal investigation to have committed obstruction of justice, never was charged with a crime, won't be charged with a crime in that case. But prosecutors are aware of the kind of vast landscape of the evidence when they're thinking about a defendant that they want to go after or not. I will say that the second part of it, you heard it in his interview, is that, look, there are people in these cases that they do love, that they can be a bit of adrenaline junkies, and they like they're moss drawn to flame. This is a big case, and this is for someone like Mark Pomerantz, who's had a brilliant career in the legal world. This is obviously a career capper if you bring this case and win it.
Okay, depending on where they go, this could be the biggest case in American history, literally. We're almost out of time, Matt. When the Zoom era finally ends and you do rejoin us in physical studios, as we hope you do, will you be able to adjust to our newsroom studios, which are not nearly as nice or impressive as your law library right there?
It's not a law library. It's no. Of course I will. I can't wait to get back on the Acela and come see you in New York, Ari.
Great. I appreciate the precision there. Fact check, it's not a library. I was kidding.
That's right.
But it is a nice room. Matt Miller on More Than One. Favorite novel, Matt?
My favorite novel, The Great Gatsby. A classic.
Classic. Matt Miller, thank you as always. Classic guy in a classic room with a classic